the nitty-gritty. Conversations get real live, it's time for the nitty-gritty. The revolution's not televised, it's time for the nitty-gritty. Reaching out to your conscious mind, it's time for the nitty-gritty. More than talking, we're taking action, it's time for the nitty-gritty.
Yo, what's going on Facebook? In the background, I got some Hamiltones playing off their latest EP, or I guess their first EP technically. The song is called Gotta Be Lovin Me. It's a nice little jam. Actually, I'm feeling the whole EP. I wish it was longer. Like 6 songs is not enough. See, I need to check this out. Actually, normally I don't play 2 songs on the same album, but today I will because I'm really feeling this Hamiltones album. It's Watch the Tones. That's the name of the EP. Once again, the song is Gotta Be Lovin Me. Hamiltones. Let this ride for a second. Like they put together, they've been working on this for like a year. You know what I'm saying?
Well, they're all grew up in church, so it kind of has a very quartet feel.
Yeah. Like the modern day quartet. Like they're dope though. So definitely, if you haven't listened to them yet, check them out. They're independent, so that's Ghetto Allstars. Yeah, dope track. But it's that time, so it's your boy Jay DaCosta, and together we are the nitty-gritty. Go ahead and silence that for the time being, but that's a dope track. But anyways, thank you guys for joining us today. It's the Nitty-Gritty Show, and today, we're gonna keep the topic simple. We're gonna talk about common sense, right? There's a lot of people lacking common sense in this world. This was inspired by a conversation I had with a coworker. I won't call their name out, you know what I'm saying? But and we cool like outside of work. Some people gonna probably be wondering like why after we start this conversation. But yeah, it's weird, like just good old common sense. And you know what? Just to help some folks out, right? I even looked up the definition of the word so we could all be on the same page as we begin to start having this conversation, right? So common sense, good sense and sound judgment in practical matters. All right, I'm gonna read that one more time. Good sense and sound judgment in practical matters. So we're not talking about rocket science. You don't have to have a degree in, English or some type of, African American studies. You don't have to be practiced in sociology, like my homeboy sociologist Ray. You get what I'm saying? Rashawn Ray, Dr. Rashawn Ray. I put some respect on his name. Like, you don't have to have all that. We're just talking about good sense and judgment in practical matters. So, I want to get it started off with just like media first, if that's all right, Kat. Is that cool? And Kat, you looking mighty good today.
I try from time to time.
Dang, girl. That's what you out here doing, okay? I'm feeling it like all the way. All right. So, good sense, right? First one I'm going to talk about is like social media, or more or less media, like how people get their information. Now, this first example is about Trump, right? So, there's those out there that believe like Trump is God's calling. So I'm talking to a lot of Christian folks. I know I'm gonna step on y'all toes. I'm a Christian too, believe it or not. But y'all not gonna feel like I'm a brother in Christ because of what I'm about to say. But that's because you've been programmed and brainwashed by media, and you lost all good common sense and practical sense in your judgment in this area, right? So I understand some people voted for Trump because he seemed like a Christian vote. Okay, all right. Some of y'all did it. You've seen the error of your ways. You've moved on. You won't make that mistake again. Bravo for you, right? There's some of you are still going strong. I know people who are of the Latin community, right? And they're going hard for Trump, despite his reaction to Puerto Rico. This is not based off what someone else said. You can just look up stuff he said personally about Puerto Rico. Still going hard for Trump, saying he's God's chosen. All right. One person believes that, so what kind of got this whole common sense thing started, someone came up to me and said, thank God, all praises be to Trump. He's about to drain the swamp finally. This is why he needs 4 more years. Listen, folks, they're saying this is why he needs 4 more years because he's going to finally drain the swamp. He didn't do it this first go around because the federal government was investigating him, right? But Donald Trump has his own personal investigators, like God's lawyers, and they're looking at Hillary, and they're looking at Barack Obama, and they're saying they're part of sex cults, and that They're abusing kids and all this other foolishness going on,
Well,
right?
we know that's not true, but my thing is, even if they were a part of a sex cult, what does that have to do with President Trump doing his job efficiently? If I'm president of the United States, I'm not going to be worried about somebody else's sex life. I'm going to be worried about the country at hand, what's going on, things of that nature. I'm just not understanding why that's his business.
Well, and how it was explained to me is because Obama needs to have his day of judgment because he went away for so long and people like him so much, right?
That's just jealousy.
Yeah, that's what it sounded like to me. Good old common sense kicked in, and that's what I would think. But they're saying he has to have his day, and Donald Trump is going to see this through. And that's what I don't understand is if Barack Obama is so corrupt, and as far as and then for anybody who just watches the news like halfway, you would have seen that Congress and that Senate fought him tooth and nail on everything he tried to pass, right? If he was involved with half the crap that people assume, the federal government would investigating him. And you can't say, oh, it's because he was president, that's why they did it. Because guess what? Donald Trump is president, but the federal government is investigating him. Common sense, people. You don't have to know a lot about the three branches of government.
Well, we know President Trump don't have common sense.
Well, we know he does, but a lot of his followers don't either.
Well, not only does he not have common sense, he doesn't understand how the executive branch actually operates.
No.
And so Barack Obama understood that. So I feel like there was no need. I mean, if he was doing wrong, I'm sure he would have got an investigation, obviously because he's a black man. But there was no need to investigate him because before he even went into office, he already understood politics. He already understood being a diplomatic. He already understood how the executive branch works, how it, filters into the legislative branch and bills and such. Donald Trump, this is a whole new world for him. So he thinks that whatever he says is going to become law, or that's going to roll the way he wants it to roll. And that's just not how the world works. And he's realizing, as president, man, what I say is not law. I have to actually pass things through Congress. I have to actually consult with people. I have to be diplomatic, otherwise there could be repercussions and implications. And I think for someone who is entitled, like he is, he's having a difficult time.
He lacks common sense, and a lot of his followers do too. If you're one of the Donald Trump supporters currently right now, I'm really curious as to why you're still supporting him. Unless you're like one of the Koch brothers, or you own your own like huge business or something like that. Like maybe if you're in venture capital or something, you might love him. But outside of that, which is a very small group of people, I'm just trying to figure out where's the common sense reasoning behind why you're still supporting the guy. Doesn't make sense. Talking about some more politicians, Mitch McConnell, and that dumb stuff he said earlier this week about reparations not making sense to him because they already gave us civil rights laws. Sorry, common sense kind of kicks in. I remember people being hosed down the street. Not personally, I didn't live that era, but I mean, it's still fresh enough. We're talking about in the last 50 years. So there's media documentary on these events. People being chased by, like you said, German shepherds straight down the street with hoses.
Right. So
that wasn't given. Last time I checked, Martin Malcolm lost his life over that, right?
Do we just disregard all the unarmed black men that have been shot and killed? Do we just disregard the fact that time and time again, black and brown students are not allowed to go certain places without somebody calling the cops? So we just disregard the fact that black and brown people, time and time again, are not often given the job or overlooked due to their name or just existing. Talking about civil rights, we are still fighting for equal rights or equal playing field, or better yet known as equality, which we explained the definition, what was it, last week? And we have yet to receive it. I think that sometimes some people, when they sit in privilege for such a long time, it's hard for them to even conceptualize being less than. And so someone who is saying, I don't have the same rights as you, it's almost like, that's impossible. We live in America. Like, what do you mean? They're almost like taken back. And I don't think that we'll ever be able to walk the shoes that we walk unless they were a black and brown person, or unless, things reversed and flipped, which I doubt will ever be happening in my lifetime. But I think people who live in privilege have a hard time empathizing with people who are less than because they just don't see it from that vantage point.
I mean, yeah, that's part of it, but I mean, all you have to do, you don't have to put yourself in somebody else's shoes. You know what's indecent, right? For instance, you have certain counterparts of society. Sometimes they come in the form of white, right? I'm about to say mayonnaise flavored, but I'm not gonna be like Charlamagne today. So
You don't say that.
yeah, because it comes off mean, right? But no, seriously, we have people in society. They don't have any sympathy towards the black man that's stopped and killed by police, but yet and still, we see people from that side of the community, right, within the white culture, cussing cops out, jumping up in their face, just because their cop was pulled over, just because their son was pulled over. We ain't talking about guns pulled out. We're just talking about just because their son was pulled over. Just because the officer didn't have a legit reason to pull the son over. They was like, I see no tail light out. Why in the blank are you stopping my son? And then they just go off. And they're telling like, you can kiss my butt and my lawyer's butt. I mean, going in,
They
right?
just go wild.
Meanwhile, people act like police are doing their job when they come out 4 deep, pulling their guns out on a family just because the daughter accidentally took a Barbie doll? Y'all don't, that's where like, where's your practical judgment, right? You can cuss a cop out because they pulled your son over with no real reason, although it happens to black men all the time. But then you feel like the police are just doing their darn job when they come out 4 deep, guns drawn because of a Barbie doll. Mind you, they tell this person, the dispatch tells these people, hey look, you know, these folks are not armed, it's a Barbie doll situation, and y'all come out with guns drawn. You don't see the good sense in why that was a problem, why that was called aggression, why people get upset when we see that. No good common sense. Also, when you talk about people submitting to justice, these same folks that I hear ranting and raving about Trump, they need more information when it comes to the Central Park 5. You got the Ken Burns documentary. You have multiple interviews. Now you have the latest series done by Ava DuVernay, and you need more information. Meanwhile, though, you can actually believe that Michelle Obama might be a man, and you can still somewhat believe that Barack Obama was having sex with little kids on a private resort. You can believe that,
awful.
But then something that we have actual, you know, footage, and you have Donald Trump himself saying I did this and all that. You need more. You have to go back and do more research.
Well,
where is the common sense in that?
Well, there should be common sense. But one thing, even I was ignorant to until I became a full-grown adult, is that the media projects that we are guilty until proven innocent. And so oftentimes, whenever you see the media, if you pay attention, when they do interviews in the inner city or in the community, they'll pick the most, you know, impoverished looking individual to come on there and forget them, F them, yada yada yada. They'll also show in the media, oftentimes you'll see a lot of black men handcuffed going into the police car. Whenever there is somebody who's not black and brown being arrested, rarely do you see footage of them being handcuffed and going to the police car. You might see a drawing of the person, but they don't even really release their picture like that.
Exactly.
So I think that the media kind of provides the narrative of what people should think of black and brown people, which is why people are in disbelief when we are exonerated, when we say we were wrongfully convicted.
Yeah, and you know, and it's something else I don't understand. Like even going back to like the Mitch McConnell thing with the just the common sense behind the reparations. You know, one of the other things he said is that they gave us Barack Obama, but you didn't give. The only way you gave Barack Obama the presidency is assuming that this whole idea of democracy is a ruse, and y'all already have pre-planned who you're going to put in office. Now, unless that's the case, you didn't give us anything. We had to go out there and vote for Barack Obama. You know what I'm saying? They did everything but call him a nigga on camera. You know, like trying to stop that. It's just amazing to me in 2019 that people won't use books. They won't use real resources. That people will get all their information from Facebook and IG. They'll read these half-cocked stories, and these individuals that are providing this information are no more credible than the Inquirer or some of these magazines, like these newspaper ads. I see newspaper all the time saying that Barack Obama and Michelle are getting divorced. We've seen them say countless things like people were dead that weren't dead. I mean, they give out misinformation all the time trying to sell newspapers. And you click on these ads because it gets some more traffic. That's how they make their money. They don't make money based off how credible the news source they are. That's not how the game is played. And the game is played by just getting as many views and many people to click on it as possible. And the more sensational the tagline, the more people are going to look into it. It's just crazy.
Pretty much.
Anyways, moving on. You know what? We haven't talked about this in a while. How was your week?
My weeks starting this month have been great.
Oh, why is that?
I have a new project and it's a slower pace, so it allows me to sit with my work, digest it, sync with my team members, talk about it, and I feel like it's a good environment to really thrive and master what I'm working on. I'm grateful for my other project. It taught me a whole lot, but it was so fast paced that oftentimes we didn't have time to really even collaborate or integrate. It was like every day it was like something's due, something's due, something's due. So it was just high energy all the time.
Oh wow.
And sometimes I'm a high energy person, but sometimes I think it's good to take a step back or sit or whatever. It's kind of funny because I feel like one of the messages today, shout out to Kingdom Fellowship, Pastor Jazz, Dr. Jazz, she spoke 3 different messages, and one of them was about comparing Mary and Martha. I don't want to get off topic. Long story short, she referred that Mary was Mary was sitting and Martha was serving. And sometimes it's okay to sit, wait on God, take a break, and then get back into ministry. So I feel the same can be applied to your work-life balance. It's okay to go hard sometimes, but it's also okay to take a step back if you need it.
Yeah, I mean, and this, staying on the thing with common sense still, even with that, people realize, like, all this no days off, like...
Don't use your vacation.
Like...
I've worked, and people do that at Badger, I don't know. No, I'm not even
hashtag I sleep when I die. Like, that joke is stupid.
No names, I promise you, somebody was like, I've worked for the past 15 years and I've only taken 2 vacations. Sir, that is dumb. Ma'am, that is dumb.
Yeah, it's not smart.
It's not. You get, every day that you get a vacation, you should be taking it. Sick days, take it. You getting paid for it.
Because, let's say if you are a Christian, you believe in the Bible, even God had a day to rest. And this is God. This is somebody, if you look at it metaphorically or however you want to, literally, at some point he took rest for all the work he did. So this idea, no days lie off, I sleep when I die, that's dumb. Like, even the sun goes down on a certain area of land at some point. Even nature takes a break from a thing at some point. So this idea that no days off, but then at the same time, I see y'all saying hashtag no days off, but then I see you taking vacation. So which one is it? Are you on vacation or is it no days off? And guess what? It's all right to have a vacation. I know this is kind of old now, how fast we move through news, but what I thought what Steve Harvey said was stupid. There are so many things that says like your body needs so many hours of sleep. So this idea of you're going to survive off of 3 to 4 hours of sleep, it's not healthy. It's not good for your body. Most diseases, when you talk about digestion, things that come from that like cancer, when you start talking about stuff like diabetes, even if you're trying to lose weight and get into a better you, it's summertime, right? And you got bikini bodies out here. You gotta sleep. Part of all that working out you're doing, your 2-a-days, eating healthy, it has to be accompanied with sleep. If you don't sleep, your body needs time to heal. Your mind needs time to rest. There's a time and place for sleep. And guess what? If you have 168 hours in a week, it's all right to take time to rest. Take 6-8 hours of those to rest, Herman Altar, shout out Dad, he said, I'm sick, I'm not working. Day off makes sense.
Well,
that's what's up. Yeah, because there's some people that feel like in society we live in today, people feel pressure to have to work even when they're sick. Then you get the whole opposite.
And I think too, it's our culture. Like here in the U.S., it's like work. Work over 40 hours. We're not gonna pay you overtime if your salary. You could be working 50, 60 hours, and everybody, it's like a badge of honor. Well, I pull 60 hours per week, and yada yada yada. I'm always away from the home. I feel like when you look at other countries, the reason why they're probably in better shape, the reason why they probably have less mental health issues, and just in general, the quality of life over in like the UK and France is deemed to be better than the US because they have better work-life balance. Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, if you were to die tomorrow, your company has an insurance policy set on your life. They're going to collect, and about literally 3 weeks after your death, they're going to post your job to find somebody else to fill it. That's just how it is. That's not good. You are dispensable, pretty much.
Basically.
You're dispensable. So with that being said, if your company is giving you mental health wellness days, sick days, vacation days.
You're supposed to use them.
Take them. Another thing I want to raise, and I don't know, I'm not a financial guru, so don't take this from me, but a lot of times I feel like people always encourage us to save and become debt free, which I believe you should do. But I think that sometimes people spend so much of their lives worrying about being debt free, being saving, being frugal friendly, that they never oftentimes have time to enjoy life. And what I've noticed about our generation is that people may be doing it wrong. I don't know people's finances, but I have noticed more people going abroad, to do sightseeing. For me, if it means materialism, like running around wearing Gucci trying to keep up with celebrities, or traveling, I'd rather travel. So I'm just bringing it all out there to say that if you have vacation time, if you have a desire, I think it is okay for you, even as you're trying to eliminate debt, to say, you know what, I'm going to go and see the world, because life is too short and there is no guarantee that tomorrow's promised. So if you have an opportunity to make memories with yourself or for yourself, with your family, my personal belief is to go out there and do it. I really want to go to the UK. I've never been. It is like on my bucket list, and I want to do it like sooner than later. Even if it's for like 4 days, why not? Just to say, I went.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. There's balance to life, right? Nothing wrong, like Katrina said, and we both agree on that end. Nothing wrong with saving up for, the future, right? But nothing wrong with taking, just enjoying a little bit of life right now. And if you can afford it, and let's say you can't afford to go to London, it might just be somewhere local to you. We're in Maryland, so it might be like Ocean City. For others, it may be going to Gatlinburg, Tennessee. For some, it may be going to, wherever in Alabama or wherever in Texas. And sometimes you just need time for yourself. And I just think you just have to have a balance. But let me speak to the other end of that too. Some people be doing too much today. They just need to sit down somewhere, right?
You think it's for the gram?
It's definitely for the gram, right? And here's the thing. It's all right not to be able to post about something. It's all right to be like, you know what, I don't got nothing to post about today. My life ain't really kicking like that. I'm not popping bottles. I'm not driving around on a Porsche. It's all right not to be able to post. When you have to post so much to the extent that you taking pictures in front of other people's cars, other people's houses.
That's a little much.
I mean, that's what they be doing out here, though. There's a whole company in Russia that makes money off of girls taking these beauty pics and these fake, G4s and stuff, like private planes, so they can look like they were flying private. It's not that serious.
No.
It really isn't. Like,
No.
good old common sense, because you can't in one breath be the person on social media with the new bag and the new shoes all the time, and the second that it's time for you to come to a birthday or somebody's getting married, or it's time to do whatever it is you're supposed to do responsibly, or you start begging people for money, they're gonna be looking at you like, yeah, but on the gram you balling. On the gram you just got this, and on Facebook you just got blessed with this.
I think it's priorities, and I do believe that everybody's life is different. There are some people who are going to save out of debt free now, and then probably as they get to a different season in life, like 50s and up, they'll do their traveling, they'll enjoy life. And then there are some people who are like, I'm young, I don't have any kids, I'm gonna do all of my traveling, enjoy life now. But then, once I turn like 40, 30, later 30s and 40s, I'm gonna have a kid, settle down, and not do as much traveling. It's about what you want for your life, it's about your life values, and it's about prioritizing. With that said, do everything in moderation and make sure that you evaluate and assess your life. I see so many people, and this is no shade to anybody, including the parents watching, but I know people who are just baby after baby, looking for the government to help them, looking for mama to step in, looking for grandma to raise the baby. And it's like, at the end of the day, while I understand how important procreation is, if you don't have the finances to take care of these kids, if you don't have a support system, you got to think about that. Because at the end of the day, you are raising future adults. And I'm watching Iyanla Vanzant, and it's, 6, 7 siblings in foster care because mom and daddy was on drugs, and it's people who I know who I met, and we moved from house to house, mama wasn't stable, daddy, I don't know where daddy was, and these people grow up to be resentful, these people grow up to be bitter, some of them grow up to have beautiful testimonies as well, but the point being is that you're raising future adults, and if you are raising people who are not in positive environments, who are they going to become in life? These are questions people should think about when they're having sex. You're probably not going to think about it, or when you're conceiving and thinking about having a child. Who am I raising, and how is that person going to impact life when they're an adult? And if the answer is I don't know, if the answer is going to be they're going to be negative because they had terrible child experience, then what was the point of bringing in a life that you could not provide a good quality of life for them to go on and do wonderful things?
Yeah, that's true. Before I make to my next comment,
thank you.
yeah, Manny said you looking cute, and then she said they always took vacation, even if it was just visiting family. And you know, and some people need to see family more often. You know, it's funny. People will post about family. They will, you know, Snapchat about family, but they won't see family. They could be in the same city as family, won't even bring their kids around family.
That's how
but they care about
is.
But they care about their kids so much. Yeah, I threw a little shade, but it's true. And then also, it's like, you know, at what point are people going to have real interpersonal communications again and real relationships? Because you can have relationships via Facebook and via IG. I know so many people think you can, but guess what? You can't. Like, real relationships come with actually interacting with people. Sometimes you may live in two separate places. Okay, that's fine, but pick up the phone and call them directly. If you really appreciate your husband, your wife, your siblings, your parents, do more than just do it on Facebook. Pick up the phone and call them and tell them. Or maybe just do it in action. You get what I'm saying? When there's a time to be respectful in dealing with those folks. You can't. It's just so sad because I see it all the time. You know, I see these relationships that look great on Facebook, but then truly it's like there's always some crap on the back end. But that's not what you're putting on Facebook. And I just wish that people would put forward the same effort they did with their thumbs when they were writing out those 40 characters that they would in actual real life, and give that same energy in the real with the person they're with. That's just good common sense.
And I also think that everything on Facebook and social media doesn't have to be challenged. We are entitled to our own opinion. Mm-hmm. One thing I live by is that people are able to agree to disagree. I know that some people believe that with a lot of things are black and white. There is a right and wrong. Morally, yes, but with most social issues, it's up for interpretation. I believe that, you know, the killings of unarmed black men is wrong. That is a moral issue to me. But there are some people who feel, well, maybe they should have, you know, spoke a little different in their tone. Maybe they should have complied with what the officer said. And they feel that sometimes those killings are justified. I don't agree with that opinion, but I can't sit up here and say that opinion is factually wrong because it's great. The point I'm making is that everything does not require your energy. Protecting your peace, protecting your energy is very, very important.
Sure.
So if you feel like things are going to get you worked up, get you in a tizzy, or get you in an argument, it's probably best to either scroll past or just not respond at all. Because at the end of the day, your mental health, your mental fortitude is very, very important for you to live your best life. And the season that I'm in right now, I am claiming my best life. Mm-hmm. I'm living in it. I'm walking in it.
Living my best life.
Okay, yeah. So, with that being said, I cannot entertain foolishness of any sort. If I see somebody who being a troll on my page or whatever, I don't even respond. I just delete them.
Yeah, and we did
no explanation made.
We did that within the last week. We posted a story about someone dying at the hands of. Actually, no, it was about Phonte Castile, the police officer that killed him. He ended up getting off. He wasn't indicted. They said that what he did was just. Now, good common sense comes back into this conversation. The theme of today is common sense, folks. If you haven't picked up yet, so how they figured that was a murder. Common sense doesn't even justify that, because you can hear the tape, see the tape, and it was very clear that he said, "Hey, I have a gun. Just letting you know I'm licensed, I'm registered." And then the guy pulls out a gun. Now, mind you, this is the last level of force. The man's hands are in a position to where you can see him, and he pulls out a gun and just shot off at least 6, 7 shots. You have his girlfriend is right there, his baby girl in the back. What good common sense does that make sense to say, you know what, I'm going to put a gun and put 2 innocent bystanders, their life at risk? I know because I was part of the Civilian Army Police Department over at Fort Campbell, so I know what the seven deadly levels of force are. I had to get pepper sprayed and all that so I can understand what that OC spray feels like. And I can tell you right now, there are so many different things you can do before having to pull out a gun. There is no good common sense that says someone you pull over for a tail light or something like that, you're just automatically going to assume I'm going to put a gun on them. That's so stupid. You know, Herman made a comment, yes, social media is ruining the art of conversation, period. And that's true.
I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
About conversation, actually a scenario. So, allegedly, Lala Anthony, married to Carmelo Anthony. Carmelo stepped out on Lala with another woman, got another woman pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
Lala was furious. However, she recently, this is alleged, that she forgave her husband, but said she would not accept his child. So, the question is, as far as common sense, do you guys feel, in your opinion, that it is possible to still love your significant other after they stepped out and not accept his child, or do you think that she needs to accept his child and find more forgiveness in her heart to accept him? I think with all things, it's time, or do you think that because that is a very serious situation, she would be better off moving on to somebody new?
So my answer is two-part. One, because I feel like it's one way or the other.
Okay.
I don't know if there's really a gray area there, and I'll explain why there's no gray area.
Okay.
One, I feel like if you're really going to forgive the person, then you have to really forgive the person, and then you accept them on everything, right? Because, and we're talking about in a marriage situation here because you're one.
Mm-hmm.
So if you make the choice, you're not being forced to be one, but if you make the choice to be one, right? You say, you know what, this person messed up, but I'm sticking with them, meaning I'm staying true to my union. I'm still one. You have no choice but to accept.
Mm-hmm.
Now, mind you, ladies, because I know a bunch of y'all want to be on my head talking about, no, I don't gotta be with no nigga that's gonna do me wrong. I didn't say that. If you make the grown choice to stay with him, right, then I'm saying you gotta be able to accept that child. Now, however, ladies, because I know y'all independent and all that, the second part is if you can't get past that, if you can't get past the trust, right? If you can't truly forgive the person and move on, then at that point, you know, unfortunately, you know, you tried the counseling, you tried doing whatever, and you just can't see yourself being with that person anymore, then you know, you got to walk out the door and you move on.
Leave some comments in the section.
I want to see your comments.
Yeah, I'm curious to know.
But and this is why I say there's no gray area.
Okay.
And the reason why there's no gray area is because, let's say, peradventure is situation number one. You decide to stay with them, but you don't want to claim the child. Now you're creating disunity within the family, right?
Right, because they have a son too.
Exactly. So then, see, and it goes back to what you said earlier. People don't think often about the fact that you're raising adults. You're not having kids, you're raising adults. And when you think about what that looks like as adults, when this son has been ostracized by mom and this son hasn't, you're creating in-family hate. And this happens in the community all the time. Not just black families, happens in white families, Hispanic families, Asian families. If there's a family, period, right? Families deal with this dynamic. And especially we live in this world where we have broken families and multiple marriages. If you can't accept what comes with that person to be one, then that's just not the person for you. You don't have to be upset. You don't have to get angry. Just be like, hey, you know what? That's just not for me. I can't deal with a man that has kids. Move on. If you're a man, you're like, I can't deal with a woman that has kids. I don't want to deal with messy baby mama drama. I don't want to deal with messy baby daddy drama. Guess what? It is actually okay to say that's more than I can handle. If you're dating somebody and maybe they're sick or whatever, and you're like, you know what? I just don't think I have the bandwidth to take that on. You know what? It's fine at that point to say, you know what? I don't want to deal with that. Because here's the issue. When you decide to stay, and then you're begrudgingly staying, or you begrudgingly take on that person, you create this animosity towards someone. And it, like Mammy saying, it's a house divided falls. And you can't have division in the home. You can't have division within yourself. I can't say, oh, I love my right hand, I'm going to cut my left hand off. Guess what? I still did harm to the whole body. So, and I think too often people don't look at it like that. So, no, you can't be with someone and then not truly forgive or truly accept. And if not, it's not going to work. You'll be better off at that point going another way. You can't deal with someone and the cheating they did. Then I mean, at that point, it's just time to move on, and that's just a choice you gotta make.
I agree, and I don't think that she anticipated, because people always say, well, it's different for someone to have kids and you know about it in the marriage, and you decided to get married with someone with kids, and then he had a child, within the marriage or outside the marriage.
Yeah, that's a hard thing to deal with. I don't know if a lot of people
and
do that.
You can't anticipate what someone is going to do, because the same situation happened to Gabrielle Union, yet she's still with Dwayne Wade, and she's happy now. She has a baby,
and they look like they have a beautiful relationship together. And then and I was talking
to kids.
And this is something I want to bring up. I was talking to my mother the other day on the phone. Yeah, I talked to my mama. I love you. So, we had a conversation. This is a good point. Too often, people don't look at situations down the road. Too many times people live in the now. Now that's an extreme situation. Somebody cheats on you, they get someone pregnant. But you know what? There's some folks out there, they're in a relationship and they're just not happy. Right? I just don't feel happy right now. I just didn't expect it to be like this. But yet instead you pledge for better or for worse, for richer or for poor, through sickness and through health. You pledge all those different things, but then when sick comes, I'm just not happy right now. When poor comes, I'm just not, hey Marvin, it's all right. You can be late, man. We operate on CP time over here. When for worse comes, you can't deal with it. And then meanwhile, people see these relationships like the Herman and Mamie's. They see relationships like the Jennifers and Mikes. And they say, oh, when I get older, I want a relationship like that. But they don't want to deal with the stuff that these people had to go through to get to that period. You get what I'm saying? Like, I'll put my parents' business out there. Now I ain't gonna go not really put their business out there. But my dad hasn't always been saved. My dad got saved in the later 2000s, right? And there was people that would go to my mother, so-called saved folks that believe in the Bible, right? They would say, oh well, you don't have to be with him if y'all not gonna be equally yoked. First of all, when they got married, neither one of them was saved. She was kind of beat him to the altar. But if she had given up on her marriage, not because he cheated on her, not because he hit her, just because she wasn't happy with his salvation status, they wouldn't have the relationship they have now after 30 years of marriage. My dad is now the priest and leader of his home, right? He's the one that drags that family to church now, right? She followed him to his church. And now people want to look at them and say, ooh, I wish I had a husband like Herman. But are you going to put in the 30 plus years to get that one? To get that version? To operate to that point? Too many people want instant satisfaction. Like, they want microwavable lives. They want to be able to say, ooh, 30 seconds, pop out, I got Ken, and I'm going to be Barbie. And life don't work that way, people. It don't work that way.
Relationships are tough work.
Common sense.
And I think most people don't have what it takes for that tough work, or they don't want to put in the work. Relationships,
and a lot of times
you're gonna have highs and lows.
Exactly.
You're gonna have highs and lows. There's no guarantee. You could get married today and be balling. You balling, he's balling. Everybody's balling out of control. Somebody lose a job. Now you want one income. Somebody lose the house. Now you gotta figure out where you're gonna live. Y'all got kids.
Pay your dues.
You got kids. You could be happy and working with somebody and dating them. Next thing you know, your boyfriend or girlfriend gets into a car accident. They lose a limb. You gonna still love them because now they got one leg and now you got to be a caregiver at like age 30. Same, you could be living your life and somebody loses a sibling to gun violence or loses a parent, and that changes people. You may become literally depressed for extended years. Are you gonna leave that person? Or are you gonna help them work through their depression? These things you gotta think about, and I think the reality is none of us are really prepared for anything about life because life is unpredictable. The best advice I can give is that when we talk about a supernatural power, God, I know people, there's some really deep hoteps that follow us, and you're not into God and all that. And
but whatever you believe in.
Whatever you believe in spiritually. But for me, a supernatural power that can get you through things that are unconceivable. You can't figure it out. That's why they say all the time, the old folks say, a peace that passes all understanding. Give me the courage and give me also the wisdom, because at the end of the day, when it comes to peace, sometimes you have to ask God to give it to you, because if you lose a close family member, that's grief. That person is never coming back. Mm-hmm. And that really affects people. I've had close friends who've lost parents at a young age, and they have never been the same. Never been the same.
Yeah, so it's like, how can you expect your marriage to be or anything you go into this to be perfect. And for Marvin, I know you just joined in. We're talking about common sense. We've been talking about it in various forms, but right now we're talking about it in the form of relationships or expectations in relationships. And it's true. These days, people just don't really think about these big choices they're making. Marriage, jobs even. You know, what I don't understand about people in jobs, right? And this is a common sense thing. I'm going to go on. This is a pet peeve of mine. I never understood somebody, okay, you know you need a roof over your head, you need food in your stomach, you need clothes on your back. It doesn't matter if they're name brand or if it's the nicest house, you know, whatever, or what have you. But the thing is, you know you need those three things. Those are the basic living standards of all people. So what sense does it make to quit a job? I understand that the job may be difficult. I understand you may not like the people. I understand that they get on your nerves. But what sense that it is to be allowed to get you so upset, to annoy you so much that you will leave the job or the income you have coming in to go into a situation where you don't know where your next meal is coming from, but they just ran you up out of a job. They just ran you up out of a paycheck. Now, there's nothing wrong with quitting a job, but the ideal thing is to have something lined up. I just don't understand. I hear countless grown men, countless grown women get upset with a job. Oh, they ain't gonna talk to me like that. And guess what? There's an HR, and it's one thing if you get fired because you stood up for your rights. That's different, right? We're not talking about that. That's a whole nother episode. You all right? Need some water?
I don't know. I guess maybe.
But it's one thing to like get fired because standing up for your rights. That's a whole nother episode. But it's another thing just to be like, yeah, so and so. Every time I come to the job, she looking at me funny. Oh, they don't talk to me right. Oh, they just some silly acting folks. I'm gonna quit. Quit for what? Unless you got something lined up, that don't make good sense. People leave jobs for those reasons, but you should go to a job.
Okay.
Because don't expect me to pay your bills because you quit.
To me, that is a yes and a no.
Nah, there's no.
Here's why. Yes, in the fact of if you are independent on your own and you need to provide a roof over your head, you can't afford to just quit and not have something lined up. But if you have a support system, whether that be a significant other, parents, family, friends, and you feel like this job is just not good, it's not helping your health and your peace, I think it's okay to go ahead and quit until you find something else. Or if you have a passion about something, like maybe you want to be an actress and you just feel like I'm working this dead-end job and I've never actually gone full throttle to pursue my dreams in being an actress or a singer, and right now I'm going to just do it. I think that's okay if you have support. That's just kind of where I stand, because there was one job I worked, and guys, I'm trying to tell you, because I lived on my own, I didn't have anybody to help me. I was out here on my own. I had to stick it out. But the job and the people were so awful. Every day I wanted to quit. I was miserable.
But what did you actually do?
Well, I waited until the one job lined up, but it became, I'm not gonna lie, I was very close to quitting. I mean, my mom, she knows, and it was like, Mom, and they were like, well, if you want to quit and we help you out a little bit. They didn't really have it, so it was like, I don't want you guys to help me out, but it was like my parents knew I would literally go home and cry and just be in just such a depression because I could not stand the people I work with. They were talking about one girl threatened to cut me. I mean, it was just awful. And I just couldn't. And I never worked in an environment like that ever again. It was just that particular job. But luckily I found something else. But I think that even... But
your good common sense is the reason why you just didn't quit the tough out of frustration. You toughed it through and you started applying immediately for something else though,
frustration
right?
Is one scenario, but even if we're being transparent, I feel like my gifts and talents I'm a very artistic and creative person. And I thrive in a space of creativity. If you were to put 5 other people right here, right now, put on some music and say, let's write a script, or let's create music, or let's create a podcast, or let's create ideas. Literally, I feel like life is like breathed into me. And I literally will thrive and I can work. And I feel like I am naturally more creative than the average person. I'm saying all that to say that I have to almost force myself to fit into corporate America's paradigm because it's not natural for me to be very analytical. It's not natural for me to do one set job. I thrive off of just energy and creativity and innovation. With that being said, there are people who work jobs and they realize I'm not feeling like myself, I'm not making ends meet, I'm not getting things right. And if they feel, you know what, in my life right here, right now, I no longer want to work in this space, I just want to just quit and pursue my dreams, I say go for it. Now, you may never make it in Hollywood, but I encourage you to go out there and try, because you don't want to be someone who shoulda, coulda, woulda, year after year, life after life, and now you're trying to live your dream through your child, or you're regretting some of your decisions. So I say go out there and do it, because what I'm saying is I understand for someone who's naturally a creative person. So go out there and do it. That's how I feel.
Okay, and you know what? And I agree with Kat. Y'all should go out there and do it. But guess what? If you go out there and do it, use your good brains and realize you're not going to brunch every weekend if you want to be the struggling artist to make your dreams come true. And there's nothing wrong with that. But I think too often we don't use our good sense and realize things have balance, right? If you work hard and you deal with a little bit of frustration at work, there's a reason why you make a certain amount of money, right? If you're having to deal with the stress of managing 3 businesses, the payoff is a certain kind of income that you get to enjoy as a result of that. Now, if you're comfortable with sleeping on couches, if you don't mind sleeping on the backseat of your car, right? Then, and if you don't mind foregoing your Gucci and your Balenciaga, or maybe just your Gap and your Forever 21, then go on to chase your dreams. But realize that before you get there, there's going to be some work. Too often, people want it to work perfectly for them, right? They want to be able to chase their dreams, meanwhile expecting someone to pay for all their bills, right? They want to make immature actions like just quit a job on the fly without thinking about it or discussing it. And let's say you are in a situation where people can help you out, you should at least give them the opportunity to be able to help you out. Too often we see people just move on just at the seat of their pants, right? And make these life-altering decisions that put someone else encumbered. And I just think if you are going to do that, even if you do have a support system, have the decency to say, hey, you know, so-and-so, I just can't take it no more, the job, blah, blah, blah. Do you guys mind helping me out for 2 or 3 months as I look for something else, right?
That, and I also want to say...
Because we know folks that don't have that mature conversation you have with your parents. We have some, and even you didn't even do it. You still got another job.
Yeah, because, I mean, I just didn't want to put them in that kind of situation. And
that's called consideration being grown.
And I ain't want to pay them back. But I also think, too, it's okay to quit and start your own thing. We have heard countless people who are entrepreneurs who say, you know what, I worked for somebody else, it wasn't working out, and I started my own thing. But to Juan's point, for one, they're probably considered like talents in 10th, because to be a successful entrepreneur, especially in this area, you have to have exceptional work ethic. So
Jeff Bezos was like that.
You have to have exceptional work ethic.
From Amazon, he went to he left a successful career in banking and decided to live with his aunt and uncle to create Amazon. And people thought he lost his mind. He's like, yeah, I'm going to sell books on the internet. But he was willing to not be fly for a moment. He was willing not to be that guy for a moment.
And probably for a significant moment, right?
Yeah, for probably a couple of years. I can't remember the exact story. I think it was like maybe 3 or 4 years. You know, he was really toughing it out, probably doing the ramen thing. Too often, though, people make that decision emotionally, but they can't deal with the decision. It's like the same folks that get married for the
brand. You have to have support with the decision, Juan, because if you make that decision and you're in year 2, and you have a wife or a husband, what are you doing? What's going on with the company? You know, the company ain't going nowhere. You got people, you losing your mind, you broke. Then the emotional decision is like, I gotta cave and find something else because people around me are not patient enough for the dream to come to fruition.
Or if you have responsibilities, right? Because, you know, we're talking about this scenario, but one thing we haven't mentioned is people who have kids. When you have kids, you can't make emotional decisions. I know a lot of people do, and they think it's the right thing to do, but you can't. Because at the end of the day, some of these people out here that's like, oh, I can't believe they would go and do this job, or they would leave this area and go do that job. But guess what? These are the same people that will have your behind locked up if you behind on that child support. So my conversation to a lot of you is, you better go make the smart decision and keep your darn job before chasing your dreams. Because the truth is, the judge don't care about your dreams and your aspirations or how difficult the job is treating you. The police don't care. The bill collectors don't care. And guess what? Them lights will come off. CDE, Pepco, GDE,
I don't agree with that.
they will turn all that crap off.
I don't agree with that. I think that everybody's life story and journey is. I think you have to.
You're gonna be double timing if you have a family to support.
Well, I think that you need to assess your life and where you're at and what you can handle. But the reality is that we all operate out of fear. I mean, how are we gonna call ourselves?
I didn't say to operate out of fear.
No.
I'm just saying, but you're gonna chase your dream while working a 9 to 5.
But no,
I
don't agree with that
kids,
because there are so many people who say, you know, I walked out on faith. I didn't have it. I was struggling. You know, the lights was getting ready to get turned off, and you hear these testimonies, and they go on to become huge influencers, whether it's in the industry, whether it's in ministry, whether it's starting businesses like you know, McDonald's or Amazon or whatsoever. So I feel like if God
even McDonald's had a job, he was still going around and selling them shake mixers while creating or stealing the idea of McDonald's from McDonald's brothers, Ray Kroc.
Right, but when I'm like, okay, well, a good example would be somebody like you know, you think about back like in the 70s when you hear them stories like Motown people where they left everything and they just hit the road and was broke and didn't know how things were going to happen.
But half of them started when they was teenagers.
And lights wasn't coming on. The point being is that whether it's a teenager or an adult, the point being is that I feel like you need to do what is best for you. If you feel like God gave you a vision, you need to see it out. Because at the end of the day, you know, when God gave Moses the vision of wandering in the wilderness for, what was it, 40 years?
They only wanted in the wilderness because the people weren't ready to go over though.
Right, but there were people who were doubting Moses, and I'm sure it probably was driving him crazy. Like, well, why are you doubting what God gave me? Yet he stuck it out, and when you stuck and you stick it
but
out,
you never made it to the promised land. Joshua did.
The point being is that okay, but that's almost like saying, well, you know, I'm starting a company and we didn't see it to its full fruition, but our kids were able to do it. Sometimes in God's life, sometimes God's vision for you may not be for you to see the whole entire picture. Sometimes it's for you to start the race, to start the baton and pass it on to the next person.
I agree with that.
I'm not saying everybody go out there and quit, because everybody ain't gonna make it. Everybody don't have the mental fortitude.
I agree with that, but I think the point that people need to understand is, one, didn't tell anybody not to chase their dreams. All I'm telling them to do is have proper expectations and plan accordingly. And here's the thing, it's nothing wrong with saying I'm going to chase your dreams, but some of you already have kids that you got to feed. And in the current climate we live in, and I feel like I'm the expert on this because I have 3 kids I got to take care of. I'm pursuing my dreams, but I have to keep my 9 to 5 while I do it. Because guess what I don't do? If I don't pay child support, there might be people that say I don't pay or whatever, but at the end of the day, I know I'll be clink locked up like my boy Akon if I don't make those payments. I have to pursue whatever outside of that. And so people can pursue their dreams, but pursue them accordingly to what you have. If you're going to pursue the dream, right, and you have responsibilities, you have kids or whatnot, don't be pursuing the dream and meanwhile your family's going hungry. Don't be so selfish that you can't work a 9 to 5 and pursue the dream. Now, if you're in a situation, you don't have that responsibility, and if you have family or supporters that you can talk to and say, hey, look, I want to do this, I'm going to take a step back and do that. I agree with what you're saying, but at the same time, you have to also see the other side, which is there are some people you're going to have to do double the work. You're going to have to. Steve Harvey had how many jobs? Exactly. How many jobs did Steve Harvey have before he made it to being a hit comic? You get what I'm saying? Like,
he didn't make it. He didn't hit it until 40. But what I'm just
but
saying,
he was working at the same time.
I'm just saying some people can do. Some people can work the 9 to 5 and work outside of that and still make it. Very seldom. Most people, very seldom, because at the end of the day, you have to have time to put into your business and what's so happy. So some people quit. So all I'm saying is, if God gives you a vision, go after it. Go after it. You know what I'm saying?
But if you really believe in it, you'll go after it. Whether you have to go live on a couch, live in your people's basement, or you'll go after the dream, even if that means you still have to work in corporate America while doing it. Go after the dream, but have reasonable expectations along the way as far as what you're going to have to achieve it. Don't say, oh, this may not be God's will for me, or this must not be it, because you're having to work a job and chase it, or because you're having to sleep on a sofa and chase it, right? You just have to do what's best for you, but you just have to do it with reasonable expectations. There are people out there that just think that they're going to go after X, Y, Z, and they're going to be an overnight success.
to your point, I think people need to realize, sorry to say this, but if you have a dream, a gift to, you know, do whatever, and it may require you moving away from the home to do it, probably best not to have kids.
Yeah.
You gotta think about that. When you're in your 20s, having a good time, you know, kicking in, having unprotected sex, you gotta think about, if I get pregnant, my dreams are put on hold because I have to now be responsible for a life. That's what I'm saying. You gotta use decisions. If, like for me, right now, if I decide I want to pick up things and go, it would be a lot of risk because I don't want, my parents are not in a place to take on that. But if I want to move to Florida, or if I want to move to California, I can, because, you know, I don't have anybody to look after. But if I were to have kids sitting here right now, I wouldn't be able to do that. Mm-hmm. So these are things you got to think about and consider before you decide to pursue your dreams. But I do think some people live in fear and they work the steady 9-to-5 job and they're like, well, we're making it and that's enough. For me, I don't want a life of just enough. I want a life of, did I push myself to the max?
Yep, and some comments we have is pursue your dreams and keep a job, use good common sense. Amy said you have to be patient through the process. It won't come overnight, so you will have to continue to work or something to get there. And yeah, you know, you'll find a way to provide for yourself and it will get going. But and
don't be mediocre or predictable. That was the message there too. Meaning if you have a business or a little something, you can't keep doing the same thing over and over again. Like, I'm gonna just get big. You have to consistently reinvigorate yourself, reinvent yourself, and push yourself to the max. Mm-hmm. Study up. What are people in the industry doing? Why am I not doing that? Why am I not garnering followers? These are things you got to ask questions for in order to be successful. If you're not willing to do that, you're going to always be just okay.
Yeah, because when you're pursuing your dreams, you have to put the work in. You have to start looking at how to utilize your time. You know, if you're saying, oh, I want to be a big venture capitalist, I want to trade stocks. You'll have some folks like, oh, I want to get into real estate. You'll have some people that say they want to sing. It's like, you know, when doing those things, you know, are you looking at stocks? Are you evaluating them? If you're going to go to real estate, are you getting a real estate class? Have you gone to one of these free webinars or these couple of day weekends with like a DJ indie where you can learn how to flip houses? Or if, you know, you're pursuing music, are you going to open mics? Are you trying to write music? Are you actually practicing songs? Are you at least singing with your church? You get what I'm saying? Are you making some reasonable step to say, are you going there? And if you're not even making that reasonable step, you got to ask yourself, well, do you really want to dream, right? That's just common sense. But, you know,
that's time to go.
Yeah, it's about that time. So, look, we really appreciate you guys joining in. We just wanted to have a simple show today to talk about some common sense in various forms. So, you know, whether it's common sense in politics, common sense in social advocacy, common sense in relationships, or common sense in pursuing your dreams, it's still all good common sense. And actually, I'm going to read the definition just one more time for the people in the back that didn't understand it. For those people that came in late. Common sense. Good sense and sound judgment in practical matters. Don't need a degree. Don't need to read 1,000 books. All you have to do is just have good judgment and good sense in practical matters. All right? But look, we're about to get ready to close out. I've been really feeling this group right now. I'm loving their Hamiltones. I'm loving this latest EP of theirs, Watch the Tones. And then this is a remix to a song that's called MCBYL, which stands for Money Can't Buy You Love. It's featuring Phonte and Rico, Barrion. It's the remix. And I'm going to close out on this one. It's your boy, Jacob Costa.
It is your girl, Katniss.
And together we are... Great. Did I say it like that? It's your boy, Jacob Costa.
It's your girl, Katniss.
And together we are... Great. Okay, that was better, right?
Down while she got a master.
Hamilton.
Natural disaster. Cause she taking the kids, the dog, and the Netflix password. Saturdays used to be for binge watching. Now y'all the show that's got all of your friends watching.
Yeah, no, for real. Check this EP out. If you have iTunes, I believe it's on pretty much all the streaming services. The Hamiltones, Watch the Tones, great EP. Can't wait to put an actual album out. 6 songs are all fire. Check them out.
He showed up out the chair saying, look out, take. You be knowing you should go on right up with iPad. Love the like the last ride by my good.
We out, y'all.
You can try, but you can't.
IG, we out. Facebook, we out.